Mic check, mic check. How's it going, everybody? Terrace Black again. Gonna try to get through this video quick. My son's watching Sing Thriller on Netflix. He loves that, and it's an easy way to get him to pay attention to something for 15 minutes, and then we're gonna go right back to hanging out with each other. But I just wanted to like find a moment to kind of cram this video in. So let's try to get this through quick, which I usually don't do. So I'm gonna try to cut down on the yapping. Anyways, thank you guys. Make sure to, if you enjoy this video, like, subscribe, comment. We were able to pass 1.3K like I was asking, begging on the last video for over on Twitter. We were able to pass that mark, and man, this set has been really good for me, social media wise. And I mean, maybe that's just because I decided not to give up on Red Purple, and now we start to see other creators and other people like Ed and Lorcana Villain and some others kind of post about what they're working on for Red Purple as well. So I made sure to keep the hope in the air, and then everybody else is kind of putting in their part now too. So that's awesome to see. So thank you guys for following. If you haven't yet, make sure to follow. Love you guys. Video also hit 1K views, so that's sick. And then yeah, so my buddy Anthony messaged me on Discord and was like, "Hey, check out what Domingo's playing for round 2 of the L3C," and lo and behold, he's playing my list. He's playing my list. Granted, this is like the first draft original version I posted, and I'm sure based off timing or whatever it was for when they had to submit, he kind of landed on this. Decided to try out my list, and I mean, I'm pretty sure they're locked into whatever color pairing they originally came in with. They just get to change it each round if they'd like. And he decided to go away from mill and try out the fairy ship meta. So super excited to see how that goes. And I'll definitely be posting a video of me reacting to that round and like kind of breaking down and seeing if, he makes some plays that maybe I wouldn't make, or if he makes some plays, I'm like, okay, that's a good line. I didn't think about that. So that'll be really interesting to go over. And of course, because he's playing in the LCCC, or L3C if you want to shorten it, a couple creators and podcasts and stuff had already started making videos and reacting to it, and kind of giving their thoughts. So I want to make a video where I kind of sit down and see what they say, and then maybe leave some comments. I just want to react to what they say. I think it's cool that for some reason Domingo decided to pick up my list, and because of that, it kind of trickles into my ideas getting talked about by other creators. So I want to see kind of what they say. And speaking about my list, we're on the trending page down here at the bottom, almost at 5K views. Insanity. I think we're on popular now as well, right? Looks like yeah, we are, but we're down here. We're very far off, and that's okay. I mean, I'm not as big as these guys. Harlan #1 deserves that. Speci, all these guys. So yeah, for sure. But it's cool that I'm up there at all, right? So appreciate that. And yeah, let's get into it. So first, we're gonna start off with Speci because his was a little bit shorter, and I had already seen both of these videos when they dropped, but I kind of just played them once, didn't go back, anything like that, and just kind of kept it going because as soon as I realized oh, they're talking about my list, and I'm trying to get more consistent and have more things to post. I was like, well, I could just turn this into a video myself, and so that's what we're doing today. So yeah, let's see what my guy Speci. Please subscribe, follow Speci. Speci's been an amazing part of the community. Let's see what he has to say about my location spice, the fairy ship meta.
That spectacular unless he can really get the coils going. Onto the losers bracket, and Domingo's up next, and he called this list. He submitted it. You can't see the deck names people submitted, but he called it Not Mill. We saw Domingo, the European champion, playing a Mill Ruby Amethyst deck, and it was quite something to behold, almost getting the win. I'm not sure if you guys saw it, but in game 1,
yeah, that game was crazy. The fact that technically he did mill him, and really I think looking back at it, if he had inked for that turn and played the giant, he actually would have won that match. But I mean, whenever you're playing a mill strategy, like when I was playing my broom mill, good lord, it is, you got to use a lot of brain power. So it's so easy to like just those slight missteps, like, and if you don't have a lot of repetition with the idea with the deck, you can really kind of just make stumbles like that. But regardless, it was super entertaining to watch, and the fact that he even got it to that point was kind of crazy. So shout out Domingo for putting that idea together and and showing something really fun.
Actually managed to deck out his opponent, but your opponent, you have to draw to lose. And his opponent LD gained 2 law from the mana, got to 20, never had to draw from his empty deck, so won that way. It was unbelievable.
Ready, set, draw.
But what has Domingo gone for? Because obviously he's locked in with Ruby Amethyst, and I think we all know that Ruby Amethyst is not looking spectacular. And he's gone for a deck with locations. Fairy Ships and Forbidden Mountain. Forbidden Mountain is a great YouTube channel, but not a great card.
I beg to differ. And honestly, and this will be something I'll go over a little bit deeper in the guide, because now that I'm getting used to playing with these cards, playing with mountain, playing with ship, you kind of like, the more you play, the more you get to understand how you can actually leverage them, and how in certain cases you can almost see a fairy ship or a mountain. Like sometimes the fairy ship is a 1 cost 4 health bodyguard. Sometimes the mountain is a 2 cost 6 health bodyguard, and your opponents will instinctively see the board as that way too. So there's a lot of times where, even though, like, let's say they have a Maui on board, but you have 3 characters and you don't want the Maui to hit your 3 characters, you'll quest all out with them and then, play other stuff and then play a mountain. And immediately they're going to think, well, my Maui can one shot this mountain, and locations are already tricky to deal with, especially if they blow up my board. So I'm going to swing into this mountain, and now you've saved one of your characters from what would have been a super free, like, Maui trade. So I think, and the reason why I chose these specific 3 locations is because at the point the earliest that you can play them, there's no cards that your opponents could play at that point that could get rid of that much health. So if they're stat wise bigger than everything else that's being played on those turns, it's a very interesting dynamic you can go there. But also because of that, because they have these slightly bigger stats than normal, compared to other cards at their cost, you can splice them in very interesting ways, and kind of use them and leverage them because they're cheap. So even if they get taken out immediately, the only one I probably wouldn't play that way is maybe Library, because I like being able to immediately use Library's effect. But there's moments where you could do it with Library as well. So not a bad card, not a bad YouTube channel. But I can understand how you see a vanilla location like that and think that way. 100%.
Big shout out to my friends at the Forbidden Mountain. So it's interesting to see that. Obviously, you could go for Queen's Castle if you want something a little bit more expensive, but you want something cheaper. But locations can definitely have a place. I'm not too convinced by this one, but I'm interested to see if Domingo can make it work. I think Ruby Amethyst is in a bit of a tricky spot at the moment. But yeah, it'll be interesting. No Flynn. Obviously, Flynn's not great this meta.
Oh no.
I think
With
Ruby
bells?
Amethyst needs a bit of a rethink.
Well, get the ad out of here. Yeah, so I mean, wasn't super, but I can totally understand Speci's kind of initial thoughts on the list, right? Because, like I've said before, the list looks like a meme. The list looks like it shouldn't work. It looks like it's all over the place, or that it's like, okay, this is just some spice. But there's just a very specific like gap in the meta right now that allows the idea to actually be really good. Like if traditional Ruby Amethyst could thrive right now, you don't need to play what I'm doing whatsoever. But because traditional Ruby Amethyst is dead, and like we'll get to in a second, because I remember Moyen saying this, if the best deck in the meta has a tough time even dealing with a fairy ship, then there's some credit to the idea.
Okay, the next one's from Domingo, and
This is Podcana, by the way. I'm sure you guys know. Love Podcana. Favorite podcast for, it's Podcana and Zan's podcast for me. Those are the top two. Shout out Kawa. Kawa's actually kind of commented on my list before. I think this is Moyen's first time even seeing the idea. And then Bennett. Shout out Bennett. Awesome dude. Talked to him a couple times as well. And hopefully I get a chance to collab with all these guys.
glad to see that we have a Ruby Amethyst list here, because I feel like we've talked about the idea of this list for the past 2 weeks, and I'm glad we can just show off a deck that kind of highlights these locations. I also want to name drop, I think it's Taris Black on Twitter is like the guy.
Thank you, Kawa, for name dropping me this time. I remember when you mentioned my Ruby Amethyst list on either the previous episode or something. You said there's one guy on Twitter, and I like that mystique. But I appreciate the name drop, and it's honestly crazy getting name dropped on Podcana because I've been watching these guys since the beginning. And I didn't know I would even get to this point that I'm at now. So much love. Appreciate you guys.
Guy that's really trying to push this red purple into the meta and kind of just keep red purple alive. So like shout out to him, fair play for like myself and Bennett know how that feels with Amber Emerald, where like we feel like it's just kind of dead in the water at times. But yeah, this is a interesting version of Ruby Amethyst. Cusco's back in, obviously, instead of the Flint CC package, because that seems so much weaker now with all of the removal within Blue Steel.
Yeah.
And then, these locations, I feel like on paper, like looking at the list, it's probably, I feel like you'd have more knowledge of this, Moyen, because, you've kind of just thought about locations a lot more with like manners and stuff like that and like the actual impact of locations. But on paper, something like this is like, it just probably looks weird to see, okay, you've just got like,
it does, yeah,
kind of a vanilla location for Fairy Ship, a vanilla Forbidden Mountain. Like, what do you think that these locations add to Ruby Amethyst to, like, do you think there's a particular reason why people are trying to go in this direction as to why it would help Ruby Amethyst in a meta like this?
Yeah, for sure. It's the main thing is the best deck in the format doesn't deal any damage to locations if it can challenge them, which means even the vanilla locations, let's say now you have them at different ink costs. So let's say you have 8 ink, you play B-Prep Fairy Ship.
Yep. I did that last night during testing.
And if they don't play Pete, maybe you B-Prep them again. Maybe, I don't know if these lists shouldn't just be playing 4 B-Prep if locations are such big part of their strategy.
This is something I believe Taris had mentioned. I watched a clip, or it might have been a video that he mentioned, and he said, this it's funny. This actually could be like Taris's initial build of the list that like Domingo's looked at and had some influence from. But from what I believe Taris was saying, he was like, he was suggesting other cards that he would potentially cut in order to have the 4th B prep, because like you mentioned, Moyen, it's that impactful.
Yeah, I think it's like one of the best cards in your deck because
it's one of the best cards in the game. But yeah, if you look, that was immediately after SSG. That was like the only main thing I was like, I feel like I need to change was I need to find the space for the 4th B prep, just because there are certain matchups where it can really help, especially if it's like a wheel matchup. And it felt like, okay, in this wheel matchup, if I had a 4th B prep, I'd just win this game. Just because it gives me, I have so much draw in this deck. I have so many, ways of finding them throughout the game. But yeah, that was definitely a change that I made. And if you look at my list now, you can kind of see where I'm at this point.
Without the B preps, the locations get a lot worse. If you B prep me, I place a few characters, and then suddenly I'm allowed.
Oh
no!
See, this is how you do it, bro. This is how you open packs. So how box works is you could open.
To challenge with these characters, I think a lot
Love
of
you, Shroud, but
list can be lost.
No ads.
But I haven't played against this much.
I need ad blocker.
If there's a way forward for Ruby Amethyst, I think it's something similar to this. And if not, then that sucks.
I like that they play 3 crabs, because last set we played 2, or red purple played 2 crabs, and I think now you want to set up the location on 1 and force your opponent to attack into it, and then you have your Diablo 1 drop that can beat a bell, for example, and also probably I have not tested it, but the 4 health against the bell with 3 attack is probably very effective as well, and I think that's the reason Zach included the Neverland location in his Steel Song 2
Shout out
as
Wochuk.
kind of an answer. And I think it's really interesting. I like red purple, and I definitely will try this one.
For sure.
The funniest thing is when you look at this list and it just looks purple. Where are the red cards?
Yeah. It's
Nine
nearly
red cards?
mono amethyst. Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's a ton of games that I play and like it's like I just don't even play a single red card. If you look at the new list, there's some more red in there. It's looking a little bit more ruby amethyst. But yeah, this initial version, you're essentially just playing mono purple and just getting so much value off of like the consistency that purple brings, and then backing that up with like very strong or necessary red cards and kind of cutting out like what's not necessary. Um, and yeah, so funny. It is funny when there's people that are like, I didn't even know if you played B prep.
Crazy.
And then we get to the word.
Okay, but yeah, that looks like it said. So shout out the Podcana guys, all of them. Much love to them, everything. So much respect. And it's so sick being able to see just creators talk about the list. Of course, Speci, probably doesn't know who the hell I am, so he doesn't know to even think to like name drop me. But being able to be at the point where I can even get a name drop in Podcana is so sick, and like, I appreciate it so much. So I'm glad that for whatever reason, I was able to throw together an idea that seems to intrigue people and kind of give people hope for Ruby Amethyst and playing the list, and also might I add, and you'll kind of see a little bit of spice change here on the list. But a big selling factor is you're looking at a deck that only costs $72. So compared to if you want to play what is seen as arguably the best deck in the meta, this deck is drastically cheaper. It's much cheaper. So that's something else that's really sick. So if somebody's now getting to the game and they just happen to watch this or see my list or something, they can see like, oh, this is only $72 and seems to be something that people are interested in and is popular. So I'll put it together, right? Like something super simple, and I love that. Like if we can have decks that can be this cheap, be able to contest the best decks in the meta at the time. Like I posted this funny post, telling Den like, hey, what are you gonna do against this board? Because I was playtesting against my buddy Mark with red blue, and like I was able to do this, and you just kind of kill them at that point. Um, but it's like the fact that you can even play a $70 deck and be able to do well is something that I think is really sick, and I think we should push more for, and hopefully we get more of. So, anyways, just one more, big shout out to Speci. Go subscribe, follow. He live streams all the time. Go show support. Shout out to everybody at Podcana and everything they do. They're amazing for the community. Have uh, some of the best content, if not the best content for the game out there. Moyen, like, always love picking his brain, so it's so sick to be able to just even hear like initial thoughts on my idea and not immediately get this looks bad. I don't think you play this. Ruby Amethyst dead. So that was really sick. So thank everybody that just kind of talked about it, and it's cool to see their ideas. And big shout out to Domingo, man. Find Domingo on whatever platform he's on. Show him love. Shout out to him for even instead of just for round two chefing up his own idea, being like, you know what, like let me try out this one. And I think the L3C kind of lends itself the way that it's formatted to kind of let these top players experiment and try different ideas. And it's cool that I was able to come up with an idea that even felt reasonable to try out, and maybe he play tested it beforehand and thought it had some legs to it, which I believe it does. So that's sick. So much love to everybody. Shout out everybody involved. Shout out the community. And yeah, this is just like a fun little reaction video. But yeah, expect after some more play testing and before set champs a in-depth guide on the list. Expect more videos. Go to the week. I want you guys play your Ruby Amethyst builds or play mine. Post how it goes, what you're thinking. Ruby Amethyst means I don't care anything. And we'll put it on the go to the week, and I'm probably gonna figure out some more stuff to kind of add to that show, just to give it some more legs to it. So, anyways, much love. Like, subscribe, comment if you made it this far. Much love. Let's keep the game awesome, keep the community awesome, and I will see you guys on the next video. Peace.